And one metric that I thought was really stark was vaccine coverage. And you note that we've basically lost 25 years of progress in the span of 25 weeks. How long is it going to take us to regain this ground?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's been devastating. So we've seen vaccination rates drop from 84% to around 70%, which was the level of 25 years ago. The good news is we can potentially turn it around pretty quickly. That if you have catch-up vaccination campaigns, if you can put the investments into broader primary health, and above all, if you can actually tackle the COVID menace as well, then hopefully within a year or two, we could catch up to where we were and still accelerate upwards. Because overall, the vaccination coverage has been a great source of good news, which has seen a halving in child mortality over the last 25 years. But it's really, really worrying when you see what COVID has done.
And of course, as you just said, the timing to regain that ground is really dependent on ending this pandemic. And your report has essentially three things that the world has to collaborate on in order to stop this pandemic. The first is in the short term, making treatments and diagnostics, and in the medium term, making vaccines, making them in as many doses as possible. And then third, making sure that they are available equitably to the people who need them most. How would you assess the progress being made on these three fronts?
Yes, so it's definitely mixed. What we have is some great investments going on in vaccines that we are cautiously confident we will see some successful vaccines by the first quarter of next year at least. But what we need to do, and what the report shows with modeling, is that you need some equitable distribution. That we have a case study that shows if you gave the first 2 billion doses exclusively to rich countries, you would see twice as many deaths as if you actually distributed more broadly across the developing world and rich countries as well. And there are important efforts underway globally. There's an effort called the ACT-A Accelerator, which a number of European countries and Japan and organizations like CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, which we help support on vaccines, and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, have been supporting. But it's unclear whether that's going to be able to raise enough resources against global needs. So we're at a critical moment where the research is going well, but we're not clear yet whether we're going to have the manufacturing and distribution we need to really tackle this pandemic.
And the effects of that are not just on the countries then that don't receive the vaccines. Really, this pandemic, as you point out in the report, is reminding us we are all in this together. Public health is about all of us. And you note that, if governments use all available vaccine to protect only their people, they'll be extending the life of the pandemic everywhere. And so then can you sort of put into focus what that means for people everywhere? If this pandemic is smoldering somewhere across the globe, that means people here can't stop worrying about the risks of it, right?
Absolutely. This is a classic global crisis that can only be solved with a global set of solutions. There are no national solutions where everyone turns into an island and focuses on their own population, because we're not going to shut down international trade. We're not going to shut down all international travel. The limitations we've seen of the lockdowns have huge economic consequences. The world is losing $500 billion a month right now, the longer this pandemic keeps on going. And so the advantages of having a global distribution that locks down and stops the pandemic more efficiently everywhere is actually a huge benefit to everyone. So it's morally the right thing to do, it's practically the right thing to do in terms of life saved, and in terms of the economic return, it's a very, very clear economic win to make sure that we have equitable distribution to tackle it everywhere.